It is almost tradition that every NASCAR season must start in one place. It's the World Center of Racing, and today it plays host to the start of yet another Stock Car Racing League. Welcome to the season opener of the Bolt Racing League's Lightning Series. My name is Ola Rambo. Joined alongside me today is Derek Watson, bringing you all of racing action from this Friday Night Cup Series. Derek, of course, it is Daytona, it's Gen 7 cars. What more is there to say? It's the World Center of Racing.
Oh, it's peanut butter and jelly. It's, hot dogs and ketchup, I guess. It's apple pie and ice cream. It just, Daytona and NASCAR goes together in the summertime like anything else. Here we are, the big, beautiful, infamous 2.5 miles. So nothing I'm going to tell you new about the place. You've heard it all. The banking, the drafting, the bumping, the lake. Everything is going to be great. What is not great for these drivers, though, Nolan, look at that track tempo, blistering, 117 degrees Fahrenheit. I know we don't talk about tires and we don't talk a lot about grip at Daytona, but that will make this track a bit more slick for these drivers.
Of course, right now they are trying to get to grips with these track temperatures. The one saving grace for that hot track temp, not a lot of crosswind for these guys to contend with here this afternoon. So when they're ripping around the high banks at 180 plus miles an hour, they should be able to keep the cars, hopefully, relatively planted on the racing surface. Of course, these guys held twin 30-lap duels just 1 week ago at this very same racetrack. So the grid very much already set. Drivers are just in their last vestiges of practice before we get set to go racing for 100 laps in what will be 250 miles this afternoon. Of course, we are not covering the entirety of this series. We are filling in as their current broadcaster, which usually does this whole production in-house, is currently down for the count this afternoon. So we'll cover this season opener. You tune in on the Bolt Racing League's YouTube channel for the rest of the season. They'll be going to Atlanta, Richmond, the Chicago Street Course to close out June. From there, it's Homestead, Milwaukee, Michigan, Phoenix, Bristol, Charlotte, Gateway, Las Vegas, then back to Daytona to close out the regular series season. It's a pretty wild championship they got it set for themselves here this afternoon, Derek. Not following the traditional NASCAR schedule in reality, but hey, I'm always a big fan of leagues that try to break the mold and go their own way with this.
Dude, think about that schedule in the back of your head for a second. So we're starting at the Super Speedway. We're going to go to a road course. We're going to go 1.5 miles. We're going to go to some short tracks. But you're going to bookend the regular season at the same Super Speedway. So if you are great here, if you luck out at both races, you pretty much could say you could have your season set because of if you're a great Super Speedway racer. I mean, you'll have to have some good consistency elsewhere, but that's exciting to hear that. The start and end of season, that's either going to make or break someone's dreams.
So let's see who we got on the cards for us here this afternoon. Some drivers, much like us, are making one-off starts here this afternoon. One notable addition to that, Dalton Kilrow, who has stated he is here to help out his teammate Zachary Wareham at the number 95 here this afternoon. Other drivers have been told to keep an eye out for. You got, of course, the likes of Chiampoulos. You got the likes of Elena Pelletier-Sharp, who could be a big one this afternoon. Of course, right now, top of the practice boards is Sam Dooley, but of course, at practice times at Daytona, I think you're kind of always taking out the greatest salt, aren't you?
And probably that person who has the fastest practice time, Nolan, is probably the guy 5th, 6th, maybe 7th in a drafting line who's just getting the biggest draft, probably not even fully on the throttles. Yeah, practice times matter. It shows you're consistent in the draft. It shows you can draft, but those times will move fast. I mean, look at the board. It's within tenths of a second, less than a second up and down the board.
So all of this takes us to racing action here this afternoon. 30 seconds are left, and already you can feel that anticipation very much starting to build as we are looking set to go at it for racing action here once again at the World Center of Racing. And we are welcoming everybody that is joining us along, whether you be a first-time viewer or a returning fan. Welcome to the channel. We hope you enjoy our production here this afternoon, and if you do, well, tune on in for pretty much weekly races, sometimes multiple in one day, all throughout the month of June. In the meantime, time to get a rundown of what that starting grid is going to look like here this afternoon, as we will roll things around to our official starting grid here at Daytona. And the warm-up session going to draw to a close, and with that, this is how they will line on up for racing action here this afternoon from Daytona International Speedway. Starting on row number 1, it is going to be none other than Dalton Kilbrough himself, the driver of Ormond Beach, Florida, starting number 1, alongside Bailey Thompson here for the Mid-South. Row number 2 holds Pacey Wygent out of Canada, alongside John Matthews, the Hoosier, racing from Indiana. Row number 3 holding Elena Pelletier-Sharp, alongside Rodney Ayers out of Ohio. Row number 4 then holding Martin Roberg out of New England, alongside Scott McCann from Florida. And the top 10 here, Derek, closing out by Bobby Blowers from Canada, alongside Zachary Wareham.
We're back into P11 on the board. You'll find Aaron Lester next to Lily Frazier, the New England native. Back into P13, Mark LeBurns is next to Chris Champanolis. That's back there in row 7. Row 8, Doug Wash Jr. next to Joey Gebedon, the Ohio native. P17 is Tristan Bayer next to Blaine Snyder, the Florida native. And then 19th and 20th, George Champanopoulos and Carson Lucas rounding out your top 20.
Moving on down to 21st place to close out the 30-car field. We'll start it off with Casey Ellis alongside Dominic Capilupo. Apologies if we butchered that name, for the National Debt Relief number 11 Camry. Wesley Riddle starting out of 23rd place in the number 23 car. So nice symmetry there. He lines up alongside Sam Dooley. Row number 15, headed up by Terry Sanders and Justin Johnson. Sorry, row 14 now holds Peyton Schneider and Sartaj Mann. And then closing out the 30-car field is going to be Wesley Triplett alongside Mark Frimpong, closing things out down in 30th. So all of that takes us to racing action. The field working around turn numbers 1 and 2. We're just about ready to do battle here this afternoon.
Well, now it gets real, right? Now you get to the grid. Last week you did the duel. That's what set this grid. So obviously Dalton Kilbrough won himself a duel. You have to think that means that Bobby Thompson won himself a duel. But now you've had a week to think about it, right? You've had a week to kind of go, hey, these are my drafting partners, and think about it, and talk about it, and be a part of it. But here it is, it's real. And this matters, right? Unlike the duel, if you get wrecked out, maybe you still kind of limp your way around, and you make the big race. Now you're in the big race, so a wreck matters, damage matters, bad decisions matter. So now you got to get yourself locked in. You got to get focused. 100 laps are going to go by fast.
Of course, don't forget that ever-dreaded big one. When it comes to Daytona, never a matter of how, never a matter of if, it's always a matter of when. So we're going to take a run down through turn numbers 3 and 4. And Dalton Kilbrough leading the way ahead of Bailey Thompson and Pacey Wygent, along with John Matthews. Once again, we're happy you're joining us for racing action here on this fantastic Friday night. Well, into the Geico Restart Zone. We'll start off another season. It's go, go, go from Daytona!
As we get down into turns 3 and 4, Nolan, look at this, how even the lines are. Sometimes in NASCAR stock car racing, you'll talk about that leader getting a jump. In fact, now the top lane has her. On the top lane, that's Pacey Wygent. He's going to come. He's going to lead lap number 1. So Dalton Kilbrough does not lead the first lap at Daytona.
Not too uncommon to see the pole sitter failing to lead the opening lap to green. Pacey Wygent goes to the top of the boards. Bailey Thompson just on the inside of the Holiday Inn, number 27, trying to make tracks down low while Wygent continues to pull clear off the top side of turn number 2. Wygent pushed by John Matthews in that number 98 entry, with Scott McCann just behind, but Dalton Kilbrough not wasting any time trying to push Bailey Thompson back to the lead down to the inside, not wanting to let that outside line gain a foothold.
Now, look how long that bottom lane is compared to the top lane. Only about 5 cars up top. They're trying to make it work. That may work to their advantage, though, Nolan, because less cars in a line typically means less checkups. It means less kind of stop-and-go behavior. It means that you won't break your momentum quite as often. So don't be surprised if they get up there and make a run again. But, boy, right now, Dalton Kilbrough, one of the super speedway specialists, is giving an amazing push to Bailey, Thompson. They're up there ahead. So now it's Thompson, Kilroe, Sharp, and others. At least at the moment, that's your top.
Already a pretty sizable gap starting to form from about 24th on down. Sam Dooley now 1 second out from Wesley Riddle and Moore. And you can see another trio losing touch behind as well. There is Peyton Schneider and Rodney Ayers who have lost touch with the leading pack as well. Everyone else from about 23rd on up still very much tucked under a blanket in the leading group here as we fire our way back around to the front straightaway.
And look at the difference in the two lines, right? Look at the bottom lane. It's mostly in line. You can pretty much, for the most part, put like a ruler on each side. It would just fit perfectly. But that top lane, they're all off center, about half a car to a quarter of a car. And that's what's killing that run. All that draft. Now, here comes someone moving up that red number 13 car. He is going to move up, and that Lily Fraser car is going to help that top lane get some momentum again. It's going to put a big gap on the bottom. Oh, there's the 98 moving up. I thought for sure they were going to wreck right there.
That 98 car technically scored as the 95. That is the Crusader machine of Zachary Wareham, Kilroe's teammate that is here to support this afternoon. Trying to go to the front. They pull around the outside of Martin Roberg, and now the top three could be vulnerable here to attack from up high if they can get a run going.
We talked about Dalton Kilroe helping Wareham. So now I begin to wonder, when Wareham gets closer, does Kilroe move up? That would be the question in my head, right? But see, again, people already kind of ducking out of that lane. We'll see what happens to it, but Wareham's trying to get a move, trying to make it happen. Drafting these cars is a little difficult. It's maybe not as big of a run as you're used to. Maybe the NASCAR Truck Series trucks, maybe in the ARCA cars. You have to work on the draft here. You have to be patient. You have to hold a line. You have to stay consistent to your line to make that draft work.
So the field tracking through 3 and 4. Once again, Lily Frazier jumping up to the outside line, trying to establish some momentum up top, as we'll take and put the first 5 laps in the books of a new season for the Boat Racing League's premier championship over in their organization. Thompson so far has led just about every lap to green. Casey Ellis setting the fastest lap of the race thus far. Ellis all the way back to 20th.
Yeah, that's what we talked about, right? Back in 20th, you're going to get a massive draft. You're going to get a massive pull from all these cars, and you'll probably maybe only 95% throttle, maybe 90% throttle. Just kind of hanging on, letting it happen, and taking off the fastest lap. But right now, what I'm surprised by, and I know we're early in the race, Nolan, is that look at the big gap between the two lanes. Typically, in these next gen or now Gen 7 cars, we talk about side drafting. You talk about killing a run, and that's how you do it with that side draft. I'm surprised how big of a gap there is, for the most part, between these two lanes.
I think people are playing it safe right now. It's a 250-mile race. You're not going to win it on the first lap. Everyone knows that these races, it's all about getting yourself in a position where you can fight it out in the final 5, but the first 5 to 10, effectively, it means nothing if you get taken out that early on. So I think people are just taking it nice and easy. They're biding their time. They're just trying to make sure they're going to actually be there to fight it out by the end of this race.
Yeah, but remember, one thing we've not talked about yet in this race is these fuel tanks are limited. They're limited to half, 50% tank of fuel. That means about 20 laps to pit if we stay green. Maybe a little bit more, but not much than that, even if you're fuel saving. So, I mean, you say right now we're 5-10 laps in.
Whoa, look out!
10 laps in, you're halfway through. There's a car spun around in the back. No caution. There it is.
That is Tristan Baer in the field going to manage to avoid him. So the 05 brings out caution flag number 1 of the afternoon in the 05 entry. That was a weird wreck. It looked like he kind of lost it by himself.
It does. The fact that you're pointed up that way, typically, at Daytona, because of the banking, typically you sweep down, not up. I'm a little perplexed what may have happened there. I'll say right now, we'll get through our replay, but it doesn't mean full pit stops here, I'm guessing, coming. Here's Baer on the bottom, below that Monster Energy machine. Gonna have a car pulling down, that Napa car.
Ah.
A little wiggle.
Looking like Doug Ross may have caught him just a little bit. Bit of neck code involved with that as well. You saw Casey Ellis get punted into the wall.
He's locked up the brakes right there, which I kind of respect because you're trying to avoid the wall, but I almost begin to wonder, Nolan, if had he not locked the brakes here, had he done something a little different, if that car could have kept moving and, you know, maybe not have brought out the caution. So who knows? I suspected this time by, I thought we would see pit stops happening, and there they are catching the pace car. So they would happen this time by. Remember, we were just touching, Nolan, on the fact that there's our limited fuel tanks. I suspect they're about 20, 21 laps under green, so you think we're already halfway through a fuel run. So Thompson, Kilroe, Sharp, Frazier, and others, I suspect, will want to put new gas in. Now, what's different here? Oftentimes at Super Speedway, we don't talk about tires. People kind of skip on them. And I think it's going to happen more today, because with these limited fuel tanks, you should be able to get on and off a pit road fairly quickly just taking gas.
That temperature, though, is going to be a problem, right? Because that does up the deg quite a bit. Now, typically, in ideal conditions here at Daytona, you can double stint tires pretty easily even on a full tank of gas. Heck, I've seen people triple stint tires at some point if the need really calls for it. Tonight, I don't think it'll be the same. This is the first time I've really called a race here at Daytona with plus 115-degree track temps.
Yeah, a hot track.
Very split decision, though.
Yeah, the problem is the time you're going to spend on pit road. I think that's going to be the decision for some drivers, right? Because you're going to have very quick fuel stops. Maybe you get 2 tires at a time. Maybe you get 2 tires, but you'll spend longer putting 2 tires on than I think you will filling that car with half a tank of fuel. Watch right there. So there's right sides on both of your front 2 cars. They're going to drop down right there, and let's see if they lift up again. Color me surprised. I thought for sure I would have done 2 tires. I think you look at that car up front who just won the battle off the pit road. I just don't understand. With respect to these drivers, maybe there's something I don't, but to me, I would think, and there's some long pit stops. Lucas plus 20, Bayard, and of course he's involved in that caution, plus 20, but I would think 2 tires at a time. Wow.
Well, Zach Wareham, the driver that made that call to pit road, didn't even take tires at all. It was field only for him, only 6.5 seconds in the box. So, like you say, interesting calls we made on pit road, and very split decision as well. In fact, actually exactly even down the middle of the field. Top 15 staying out, bottom 15 all coming in. This will be the look on board of that caution. We'll see if there was any contact here.
Watch this car. This is on the bottom here. And let's see what we get coming up the track.
He definitely wiggles a little bit there.
Yeah, I know there's contact. No, there's definitely a wiggle there. This stopping right here part, this is my question mark in my head. And again, I'm the new guy here. We don't call this weekly, but watch it from up top here. This is the monster car. The other car is down below him.
Hey, I think he caught him a little bit.
Yeah. There you go. So Doug Ross Jr. moves on ahead in that monster machine. The caution comes out, puts us where we are. Well, I'm also not surprised by the fact some people stayed out, because, I mean, again, you know, you figured out even math, 20 laps per run, 100 laps, you're talking about 5 pit stops. So whether you stop here or don't stop here, you know, everyone has more pit stops up ahead. So I don't know. I guess if this stays green the rest of the way, we'll see how that strategy works out for who, and who benefits math-wise and who counted backwards. But if you think this race may turn into a bit of have a few more cautions, then you just think, hey, I'll pit next time.
Elena Pelletier-Sharp and Lily Frazier will be the 2 drivers who will look to take us to the green flag. As a result of that yellow flag, Sartaj Maan, who started this race all the way back in 28th, has now become the hard charger, plus 20 on the day. Mark Frimpong down in 11th, plus 19 on the day after he started all the way back, I believe, in 30th, right at the tail end of the field. About a 10th of the way through this 250-mile race this afternoon, and still a lot of racing left to go.
Yep, so right there, that was a lot, I think, for a lot of drivers, maybe a good beta test, to use the kind of nerdy term, right? A science experiment, if you want to call it that way. Who was willing to push who? Who dumped you in line? You know, who didn't stick to your back bumper? Who left gaps in line? Every lap at Daytona, you're taking notes somewhere in the back of your head about who does what well, who is a good pusher, you know, who is better at being pushed, and you're storing all that away so that now when we come down to the last 10 laps in a little bit, you have all that data to rely on. So I think this first run right here was a good bit of information gathering for all these drivers.
Well, the field going to work around turn numbers 3 and 4. And They will again make their way back to the start-finish line this afternoon, and we will look to kick off this race once again. 89 laps still to go. And lap 12, we'll see the green flag drop once again. Pelletier sharp into the Geico restart zone, and we're back to green. Oh boy, the host of black flags there.
Yeah, we'll see what comes of those, because you're right.
Nothing. Nothing's going to come of them.
Actually, I don't see any in the system, so I'm not sure if anyone actually got it.
They all got cleared instantaneously is what I saw. About 8 or 9 drivers got them. They were cleared again within a few seconds. So I'm willing to bet some scoring bug on the side of the sim potentially.
Yeah, or maybe someone didn't catch the field appropriately. We'll see if we can figure that later. But now down the back straight, here's Sharp doing a great job leading here. We've got 1, 2, now 3 cars clear, working on a 4th possibly. This is a good run for the bottom here. This is Sharp being pushed around by Rogers and others.
Oh, a couple of cars close to the outside wall, and you saw one of the Napa Auto Parts machines getting a little bit tight with that outside fence. That was the 86 of Aaron Lester that nearly went around.
So you see Lester here towards the middle of the field, now riding up here. Barely tagged the wall. And the more problem with that, it's not so much the damage to the car. What it does is 2 things. A, it scrubs a little bit of speed up your car. That's a problem with the drafting line. And B, it ruins a little bit of the confidence of the drivers beside you and behind you to want to help you, because they don't want to push you up against the wall. They don't want to push you when you're that sketchy, because they don't want to make something bad happen. So that black and blue, that old legacy style motor club car, expect that car to want to get out of line as fast as possible and find a new drafting partner.
Boy, outside lane has been opened up big time off the initial jump on this restart. Look at how many cars have broken clear. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way back to about 6th place. And there you see the 71 of Sharp trying to gut back down the inside. Holy cow! Everyone trying to abandon the race leader, Sertaj Mon. Mon wasn't having it, cut right back down across their nose. Yes. And so the games begin.
And that's how fast you got to make moves here. It's one of the things about sim racing and racing in general. You cannot wait. You cannot, do what you do on the highway. You kind of turn on the signal. You kind of, get the hand motion. You kind of gradually meander your way across the lane. Here, you have to snap that decision. And if you don't, someone's going to close that gap on you. Someone's going to get in the way. There's a car up top falling back, by the way. Everything is good. No caution. No need for concern yet. But boy, now that bottom lane is up here, probably 4 or 5 cars deep before the top lane ever kicks in.
That was a bit hectic there for a moment as drivers nearly sent each other around. But like you say, I mean, if you're going to make aggressive lane changes, that's how you do it. Quick, decisive, and thankfully, nothing really came out of it. Second pack started to form as well as a result of the shuffling. And these guys from about George Chiamopoulos on back have completely lost touch with the leaders.
And don't worry, Daytona, that'll fix itself. Now there's a car moving up top. Boy, goodness, that is Pacey Wigent, who is now moving up here, now going to push the back of that black, or that white and yellow and blue car. But hold on, caution's out. We're going to freeze the field right here. This will be how they'll run. We'll come back to this in a moment, and we'll see what has brought up the second caution on lap number 16.
I'm not seeing anything on my marker here. No smoke.
Admin caution.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Has closed the pit entrances and has thrown a caution here. So this must be an admin caution we're looking at.
Very well.
Well, here you are now, lap 16. This would have been towards the end of your first fuel run, and this would explain.
Ah, okay.
What's that?
I understand. Okay. So this is our stage caution here.
Okay.
So that must be what this is for. So hazards have come in late.
Yep. I believe I just heard confirmed through driver's radio. The next stage is 35, by the way. So keep that number in your mind if you're watching at home. So that right there explained why Frazier, Mann, Wigent, Sharp, Roberg, and others did not want to pit under the first caution, because they knew there was another one coming before that fuel run would become a problem. So now let's see here. Now the story could be, does Wareham, Thompson, Snyder, Riddle, and others stay out? Remember, they're the ones who pitted the first time. Do they stay back? Do they kind of usurp the lead and try and think about the race? Or do they pit here and take the gas? We'll find out here.
Boy, things not going so well for your stage 1 winner, Lily Frazier, who's struggling to keep that car in the corporeal plane, but that also explains the split decision we saw in pit stops as well.
Yep, 100% does. So now you see people coming down pit road. You see obviously Lily Frazier, Mann, Sharp, Roberg, Frimpong, and others. As I'm looking back just for the scoring tower here, it looks like it's wholesale pit stops. Even those who pitted the first time are pitting the second time. Remember, no tire limits here in this league, so no need to worry about tire allocations. You come in and do what you want. You'll see right sides in the car going up. And for some drivers, 2 tires, some 4 tires, some no tires. This will be very, very drastic differences across the track.
Lily Frazier in the box, long stop, and somebody's going to arrive with that number 19, as she has not been able to get back out onto the racetrack. Dominic Capalupo will be able to be the first one out. Only 4 seconds in the box, and in fact stayed out. The only driver to stay out, Martin Roberg, first driver out of pit road, and Frazier dropped right to the tail of the field just now. Finally gets the car in gear.
Yeesh. Well, let's do this. Instead of wondering and speculating and thinking about it and all the other questions, let's see if we can find out. Let's welcome in Lily Frazier to the Green Flag TV broadcast booth. Lily, first off, you won the first stage. Congratulations. How did the first 16, 17 laps feel?
It felt fine. It's a couple sketchy moments at the front, some 3 wide moves, but pack overall felt pretty good up front. No clue how it was at the back, but yeah.
So now we want to know what happened on pit road. Looked like you had a very long stop, maybe had a hard time getting the car moving again. What happened on pit road?
Just want to drop to the back, play it safe, grab some stage points in the first stage to cover for any wrecks, but now just going to try and ride around, be there at the end. It matters.
So second stage points not as concerning?
Nah, especially with the stage win and picking up Tad, it's not at all priority.
Fair enough. Well, we know your teammates down there with Martin Roberg and with Elena. We'll put you back down there and wish you luck for the rest of the race.
Thank you.
All right, well, a very interesting strategy there, Nolan. Want to come out and win the first stage and then back off for the second. It's not something you typically hear. Typically, drivers who want to race up front want to race up front. So that perplexed me a little. I respect it in some ways, but just not the common response.
I mean, it is what it is, right? I mean, some drivers, they want to just get some insurance points and go from there. Might be making a gamble to try to link up with some teammates as well towards the tail of the field. And, I mean, hey, if you're going to drop to the tail of the field, that's about as safe as a way as you can do it.
That's fair. You know what? I do agree with that. I respect that on that level of saying, hey, if you want to drop to the back, sit on pit road, let it take a while. The worst thing to do is to get out here, when we go green, lap 1 of stage 2 and try to, slow down or pull out of the way or whatever you want to do. That often gets a little sketchy, a little dangerous. So I respect that in that moment. Waldo, Lily, back teammate Martin Roberg is still up front. And so we'll see if that team can still make a run and have a good time at it.
So what we're figuring out here is basically be very, very... take care on around lap number 35 here, right? I think 35 was when they said they were...
That's what I heard through the radio, 35.
So fuel's not going to be a factor then until stage 3 and beyond.
That's what I would assume.
So the field going to get set to work into turn numbers 3 and 4. At the end of yellow flag number 2, we will set to close things out once again and go back to green flag racing.
Well, again, you're gathering data, you're having fun, you're out here running laps. We're already about 1/5 of the way through the race. Oh, sorry, you know what? Confusion on the radios. Let's go and update this here, Nolan. Stage ends on lap 50. 5-0 as we go green at Daytona.
Interesting. Okay, so different stage lanes again. Unorthodox, but hey, we're here for the new stuff. So let's get right back to it. Capolupo to the lead of the race, and Roberg wasting no time on driving up to the front.
That gap, though, is going to hurt. That gap is going to cause this field to catch up fast, and they are. A great job getting up front for the moment, but they almost swallowed that car whole. Luckily, probably except for the fact they were a blinking car, now they're 3 wide up front. This may be what Lily Frazier and others were worried about when they said we want to fall back.
So the pack cycling through turn numbers 3 and 4. There you see Capolupo all the way up to the top side of the racetrack. Pacey Wygent just a little ways behind, now being pushed by Blaine Schneider. Wygent to the inside, trying to go to the race lead. And we are 1/5 of the distance through the season opener of the Boat Racing League's Lightning Series from Daytona.
Yeah, great racing we're seeing here at this series. Remember, this is the top of the 3 series that the Bolt group does, so lots of racing you can find through these guys all the time. Big moves happening. The see that Monster Energy car got back there. Now a move up front. That's the car moving down, trying to cut out the momentum of the bottom lane. That's the number 98 machine. That's John Matthews. Now he wants to move to the front. He is getting a quick run around, and I bet by the start-finish line, it's probably going to be even up with Dominic Capolupo.
Meanwhile, Blaine Schneider trying to make moves as well. The number 11 car all the way up to the outside line. And so we will continue to drive it in deep into turn numbers 1 and 2. Matthews trying to go to the point. Pacey Wygent down low. Big bump trap for the inside. And just like that, side by side each. And one car, again, continuing to have issues with some blinking in the midfield.
Well, I'll tell you what, that 98 car up front got a wild push in the car, the 00 right behind it. That's Pacey Wygent, and the push was not exactly even. It was not directly on the back bumper, and that's why you saw the 98 kind of wobble back and forth and kind of moving back and forth like a rocking pirate boat, but got it gathered together, but that could have went much worse. Look at that car back there, that Napa car, undecisive on the lane, trying to figure out what lane it wants to draft in. I think it's going to end up deciding on the top lane. Boy, I've been in these spots, Nolan, in a car, at Daytona, in the sim, where you're trying to make that decision of a lane change and what lane moves faster. And it's so much, you have to make a quick decision. You never know if you're right, probably about 5 seconds after you make the call.
And things happen quickly here, right? You sometimes can't even think about it. You just got to go off of gut instinct, right? If you think you need to make that move, you probably need to make that move. If you think about it, it's going to close before you have a chance to do anything about it, and we are really seeing that play out for several drivers this afternoon.
Yeah, we certainly are.
Whoa, hello.
Whoa,
major stack up there coming into the tri-oval.
And great job by everybody. That really could have been bad. With the way that stacked up from the onboard we were looking at, one bad bump would have sent that whole outside lane to the inside. Just watch again from a moment here. Watch up top. There's your checkup right about there. This car's moving up in front. People start checking up. Oh, maybe a tight thing change. And boy, back there to that purple car, it got scary really fast here at Daytona. You know, Nolan, often when I talk about Daytona to people who don't understand that, I say it's like building a Lego set in some ways, right? There's a lot of complicated pieces, but it looks simple from the outside. Hey, it's just a Lego pirate boat, or it's just a Lego house. How hard can it be to build? But there's complicated pieces, there's confusing directions. Every decision you make matters in building that Lego set. Which order you do it in matters. Who you ask to help build those Lego sets with you matters. Just like here, who you ask to help draft with you, who you push, who you don't push, when you make a move, what order you make your moves in, it all is important to see if you can come out winning that important trophy.
And hey, sometimes you pick right, sometimes you pick wrong. If you pick Dalton Kilrow, you probably picked right. He's been shown before to be the Super Speedway guru. Just make sure that you've always got one step ahead of him, or he might very well use his powers on you. But John Matthews up top, looking to lead the way off the turn in number 4, and this pack stemming all the way back to 22nd place. Terry Sanders leading pack number 2, was just coming off of turn numbers 3 and 4, and right now they're single file putting around in the back.
Yeah, I like this strategy to a certain extent, right? We talked with Lily Fraser, who had this idea. I was going to sit in the back and wait for it to happen because, in theory, if a wreck happens up front, you should have plenty of time to kind of check up for it, get slowed down, not be involved in it, and make sure you have a race car left. But right here in this pack, you're looking at, if something happens 2-3 cars deep from the front, boy, it's going to collect a lot of people, hurt a lot of feelings, cause a lot of anger, and a lot of good drivers home. So a lot of drivers don't want to be here for all day long. They would say, hey, there's a time that we call go time, right? For me, that go time as a driver is about 20 laps to go. That's when you have to get serious. That's when you lock in. That's when you pull the headphones out, you turn the music off, quiet your Discord voice chat, and you lock in to what you're doing. You say, hey, now I got to get serious. That's all this kind of lollygagging I've done. That was for fun. I don't like to be up here the whole time, man. I don't like the idea that one person's bad decision will ruin my race.
So Matthews, Wajid, and Snyder continuing on, and I mean, some drivers may already be in that mode, right? I mean, they're trying to really game this out. The 27 of Thompson to the inside, forcing the 49 Sartaj man into the sucker hole. Nobody's wanted to work with that 49 car all day long. He's been ditched at every opportunity.
Well, I think in this case, it's a matter of teammates, right? We heard earlier about Wareham and Killer working together. It looks like maybe Killer got himself a second teammate back there in that 27 car. So that may have been the cause of it. Here, look at man going back to what we've influenced, always called the sucker hole. And now you see why. There's no draft there. There's no help there. It's difficult to get up in a lane. He went from probably third on back pretty deep down that group. So, yeah, that's why that stuff happens.
And right now we are just about halfway through our current field window as well. We've been racing for about 10 laps now, and we are expecting these guys to be in somewhere around the 20 to 25 lap marker. So of course that would then lead these guys to be in around lap, 38 to 42, within 10 laps though, potentially of that stage ending.
Yeah, no, we're definitely there. So they're going to have to be there. Remember, stage ends on 50, so we're not even close to the stage ending. Everyone's going to have to pit in this stage. So now you just got to start plotting when, how, and why. Actually, Daytona, you could probably pit here with a group of teammates, Nolan, and do it early and not be scared of the caution, right? We do it at other tracks. We're going to be at Auto Club, at Michigan, shorter tracks like a Bristol, a Martinsville. If you pit early, you're so scared of that caution coming out. If you pit here with teammates, you could probably get out back on track and kind of not get lapped before the stage ends, I would think.
And you see already several drivers losing touch as well. Chris Giampoulos dropping back with Wesley Riddle, Man Ellis, Ross Jr., and Librens all falling back, although they will be able to get a sniff of the back of the draft from Bobby Blowers, and the Quick Trip Mustang will be an instrumental part in helping to get some of these guys a bit closer back towards the field, but I think Casey Ellis has lost the draft. And same story for Ross Jr. and Librens behind, and now we're leading pack down to just 19.
And there's something about this version of the Gen 7 and iRacing in the current drafting model where that is the hardest thing to do, is stick to the back of the draft, right? You get up front, you're getting pushed. You get in the middle, there's all that draft to kind of move you around to keep you in there. If you're the last car in line, what was that? That was a moment right there. That's going to bring you off the draft. I was going to say, if you're the last car in line, it is very hard. One wrong move, one wrong lane change, one swerve, one small lift because you think a checkup is coming, and you were off of the draft incredibly quick in these Gen 7 cars. So as much fun as I have in them, and I think they're some of the better cars for drafting purposes, there's definitely some challenges with this current model.
We'll take a look at what happened to that field coming around either turn numbers 3 and 4. Here we go. This is Terry Sanders. Oh, a bad bump by Wesley Triplett into the corner. Man, the 24 just ran in there. I wonder if maybe trying to get him up to speed?
I think that was the intention. I agree with that. I think that was the intent, was to give the bump and try to, push him back to life, so to speak. But yeah, not the way that's going to work, which is the opposite point of view of that. So let's watch here. I mean,
he kind of aims for him, so I'm assuming he was trying to keep him up to pace.
Back to life.
I don't think he realized he was in the wall.
Yeah, you start to say that's the problem with that is all you kind of do is a little bit was kind of scrub up against the wall pretty harder. He has the lead back up front. This is Matthews now pushing Wygant around, trying to get Wygant up around Blaine Snyder and trying to make the bottom lane work. Now, typically the bottom lane has success, Nolan, because as science teaches us, the shortest way around something is the bottom lane. There's 2 cars pitting this time by 3 cars, 1 in the back I saw. So pit stops are underway.
And this is early, right? This is not enough. Well, this is well short of the fuel being out. These guys are short pitting the field to try and get some more pace by running by themselves, and then hoping they can maybe jump them by going from here to the end of the stage, because we are in the window that if you pit now, you can go to the end.
Yeah, and again, 4 tire stops for that white car. It was 2 tire stop actually for that white car. I want to see if we can talk to someone under the stage break about this, and maybe we'll figure out who we want to ask that to. Again, but how short these fuel stops are, I'm just confused. I would think it'd be faster to get out there and just take no tires and go. But there's a car down off the bottom. That's Rodney Ayers, league admin, the Ohio native. He is slow down the back. Is he out of gas?
Look at the right front here when he comes around.
Oh yeah, nope, you're right.
He has found something hard.
Yeah.
So some bad
news
news for him.
I didn't see the right front. I thought maybe out of gas, but you're right. There's some bad news. And you know what? Hey, credit to Ayers right there, because could have easily have done something, you know, a little more aggressive. You see he's already pulling down there, so I think we missed it before that shot. But he could have easily have done something where he was up on track and more aggressive and possibly spun the car. So congrats to Ayers. But now he's lost the car.
I am confused, to put it mildly. Right on board. Screen black. It has to have been a screen black, and now they had no idea where he was.
Something happened, right? Or got distracted, or something happened there to cause that the moment where you just kind of lost your focus. And yeah, I agree with that. That wheel doesn't even move from that camera perspective.
Which leads me to believe that he's had some kind of a hardware failure, maybe a VR headset failure, or his screen came unplugged, and he had no idea where he was, because it does kind of seem like he was feeling it around, right? Waiting for the audio cue of when he hit the transition to then start guiding the car up and around.
Right. Yeah, something. So, you know, in virtual sim world, we don't have those technical gremlins you see in real life. We don't have the random, you know, car failure. We don't have just a random, you know, motor losing cylinders you see in the Cup Series. You don't have, you know, transmissions go bad. We have the technical problems, right? Hardware problems, wheel disconnects, screens going black, VR's headsets dying. That's sort of our virtual version of those technical gremlins.
Several cars down and into pit road here this afternoon, as the pack is going to be very much in for service over the next several laps here. We are now reaching the end of the estimated fuel window within the next several laps here. And then racing action will look to get right back to it. So that was about, what, 6 or 7 there from the leaders that came down. We are up to just 8 on the lead, in the lead here. And in fact, here comes a good chunk of it now. Blaine Schneider's in a pit road alongside Martin Roberg and Peyton Snyder.
Yeah, I was going to say, before this group right here, I think I saw 14 cars in total left waiting to pit, a bunch of them coming down this time. So more pit stops are coming. Lap 37, so everyone's guaranteed to make it from here. The question I have for these drivers in the back of their mind somewhere, Nolan, is do you take just enough gas to make it to 50 or 51 for the stage, and to say, hey, let me get that short pit stop and get out here, maybe take the lead? Do you take the full fuel stop knowing that you're gonna have to pit again anyways? Lots of strategy involved in pitting this late.
So we see Bailey, Thompson, and Moore. Will they come down to pit road? No, they will continue to stay out, so they will now hit the lap 20 mark of their stint, which is right around where we expected these guys to have to make the trip to pit road. At this point, they are borderline out of fuel.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. They have to be getting closer and closer. I see lap 18 for Thompson, Kilroe, Wareham, Johnson, Frimpong, and others about when they pitted last. So you would think any moment. Now, I bet this time by the last group has to come. They're all moving to the bottom. That's a good telltale sign on a super speed. If you want to pit, is getting to the bottom of the track.
Coming around into 3 and 4. Probably a split call between fuel only versus taking tires on this stint. No move to get around the lap track of the road, and here comes another trio. The majority of them continuing to stay out. So with all of this said and done, pit stops are continuing to take shape. Bailey Thompson caught for speeding on the way in.
Oh, yeah, you can see that smoke. That's usually a good sign from a viewer or a spectator or a broadcaster standpoint. If you see that puff of smoke, you should go, hey, I bet that's a black flag. And sure enough, it was for speeding on pit road. Some more stops happening. Still a few left to go. Only, I think, 3 left on track. Johnson, Frimpong, and Sartaj Mann, the last 3. You see them right there on your screen. And Mann's having a hard time keeping up that big, massive push from that number 11 up to the 33. Sartaj having a harder time holding on. I've heard pitting called out from Justin Johnson. So this time by 1, 2, 3 cars, 3 wide. Not how I want to enter pit road, but they all work it out barely. Oh, nope, no, they don't contact.
Contact, but nothing comes of it. So the last trio of cars are now in to the box. We're going to take ourselves with a quick step back. When we return, it's the final laps in stage number 1. Stay tuned.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Green Flag TV. We are in the closing stages of stage number 2 this afternoon as the field is getting set to rumble away, and potential problems for Rodney Ayers and Terry Sanders right as we are coming back here, Derek, as Ayers with the meatball flag is taking Daytona pit road, and this is Sanders slow on the racetrack.
Yeah, very slow on the racetrack. Hard for the angle. I don't see what it looks. It's a little harder with the black and green car to see big spots of obvious damage for a brighter car, but that car is either out of gas or damaged with how slow it is driving. So we'll keep an eye on that, see what's going on. Not a surprise, by the way. Peyton Snyder has taken the lead here at Daytona. Blaine Snyder's up in P2. Sartaj Mann, Justin Johnson, and more. So I think this right here is a sign of maybe drivers who just did a little bit different on pit road, right? Who did a different strategy, maybe didn't sit there forever, didn't take all the gas, or whatever they did, they have cycled to the front here. And look at that big, massive gap to the back. Remember, we're not that far away from the end of the stage. End of lap 50 as Zachary Wareham sets the new fastest lap.
46.015 for Zachary Wareham will put him to the top of the boards. He is right now running 7th in that 95 car, and in this very same line, like you say, stage ending in about 6.5 laps here, as Peyton Schneider continuing to lead the field around. Two distinct packs forming up here. Snyder with the lead. Blaine Snyder, who potentially related, right behind him. And this one's all the way back to 7th place. Then 8th place, Pacey Wygen, the driver that was up front for much of that early stint, headed up the second field, which holds 8th back to 14th. And our next pack isn't all the way back until this group of 4 and 17th. And the Wesley Triplet also leads a pack of 5 from 21st.
Yeah, and sadly for the pack from 8th on back, Pacey Wygent, Bobby Blowers, Wesley Riddle, etc., they're not running any faster. In fact, last time by, they were a little slower than the lead pack. So it's not as if they're catching now. They're going to catch a lap car right here. They'll suck a bit of a draft off of that car. That'll help them very minutely, but probably not enough to catch up. Good news for them, though. The stage is coming to an end. They'll all get bundled back up for our last running of 50 laps here at Daytona. So the question I have in my mind right now, this group here, Wygent, Blowers, Riddle on back. Remember, stage points. So who gets desperate here for a stage point towards the end of this run, and who accidentally throws it away, right? So, for example, does P11 Dominic Capilupo, does he want the stage point? Does he try and make the pass and gets hung out to dry? Does Wesley Riddle want to move from 10th to 8th and get 2 stage points? That may be the story here, not only in this pack, but in the front pack. Is everyone okay with the Snyders taking the top points? Does Sarge Hajman want to maybe get up there and take the lead for the stage? These could lead to some late implications here in this run.
Stage points awarded for the top 10, starting with 10 for first, all the way back to 10th place. That gets 1, and nobody else will get anything after that. So with 4 laps to go, again, I gotta be honest, I'm not expecting much in the way of dramas here for the closing stages. I think drivers are pretty content to kind of just ride as it is. Those first stages can be really valuable, but the second stage doesn't tend to change all that much unless you're in a very tight championship battle. But we're at race 1, right? I mean, it's not going to have maybe too much of an impact on perhaps the end of the season. And, well, I mean, I say that it could go either way, right? We've seen some championships be decided by just those very, very few stages. But, I mean, who knows? I don't see any reason to make a big move, though. You're running good. You don't want to be the guy that ends this long green flag run. Save that aggression for the end of the race. That's where the big points are.
Yeah. The flip side of the argument, as we see a car thought about moving up there, is that this is the one track where you could make that move from 6th to 1st at the end of a stage of 1 to go, right? You get other places on the track, you know, go to a typical 1.5 miles, go to let's say like a Charlotte, you know, a Kansas, a Vegas. You may not ever get that chance again to make that pass in the last lap from 6th to 1st and kind of get yourself a stage victory. So we'll see. Right now, you're the one who's correct. Oh, look at the back. Look at that second stage. That's gotten a little bit of a dramatic. They've gotten too wide. They want to race it pretty hard. They've decided they're not going to catch the leaders. So now this is the battle for P8. Look at that. 8 back through probably about 13.
Trouble!
Oh, there's a car. That Kilrow, I think I saw the 41.
No, that's Blowers. He just popped
Blowers,
the motor,
right.
overheated the car, and engine going to blow up in turn 3.
Wow. His hopes for winning this race, much like that motor, are up in smoke. If that's indeed what happened, watch on board, listen on board here.
Right there. You heard it.
Yeah. And that's something we don't talk enough about, is how you have to give space, and I'm a little surprised. I mean, that wasn't right up on the front end of the car ahead of him, so I'm surprised that popped. But here comes Blowers down pit road. He'll get it parked and off the track, and we'll be good. 2 to go in the stage, by the way. 2 to go as they cross the line this time.
I will say, I have to give props there, because Blowers immediately jerked that wheel left, got it off the racetrack. That could have been a really big crash. So big props to Blowers for getting out of the way there.
Yeah, white flag on stage right here. But coming back to your right, I agree with that. Blowers, and probably luckily for Blowers, that group was too wide. Had that group been one long line like they were 5 laps ago, that checkup would have happened regardless because of how many cars there were. So maybe luckily for him and luckily for the field, they had mostly moved up. Well, here we go. Here's what we talked about. Who wants to make the move? We see one car up top, a couple cars moving. There's some drama. People want these points. I thought it. There's man up top. There's that purple car. The 11's now trying for it. There's that Hendrick 48 and the 88. Hendrick numbers on the bottom. These 5 all want to win stage number 2.
Sartaj Man up to the top sign. Does Frimpong make the look down low? Oh boy, it's gonna get dicey here. Big bobble from the Yahoo.com number 11. A cut to the inside, back to the outside. Man hangs on and takes home stage number 2.
So the moment here, the caution will fly from understanding. There it is, when we get the field cross the line for the official running. But caution is out. Sartaj Man went from about 4th or 5th on back when it made a move, got a good bump from the 11, and is your stage 2 winner.
Good stuff.
In the comment and voice chat, I think sort of echoed what you said in the broadcast. Bailey Thompson said, guys, that's just a stage win.
Take one more look at the incident with Bobby Blowers earlier. This time we'll look for the car just behind, and we'll show you just how dangerous it is. This is from John Matthews. I mean, holy cow. I mean, you want to talk about a close call. Matthews didn't even lose the draft.
No, very much lucked out. The fact there was a draft line up top that was sort of helping block that error. But yeah, that could have been way, way worse. Unfortunately for Blowers, blew the motor there, and is the end of his race. All right, well now let's see what happens. Lap 50. This is our last stage breaks. From here, whenever out, it's going to be green flag pit stops or under caution pit stops. And, you know, really good news for the field, Nolan. You know, we've had these 2 stage breaks, and I think just the one caution besides that for the car up top on the front straight. We've seen some moves. You've seen some beating, some banging, some bumping, but really a pretty clean race.
It has been a clean race, right? Only one actual caution on the day, and it was for a single car incident for the most part. So, I mean, that is rare by Daytona standards on iRacing, as you and I both know from extensive experience, not just on this channel, but, you know, elsewhere on iRacing, and of course, both as drivers, as crew chiefs, spotters, commentators, what have you, right? I mean, races where you can go green to green -2 stages with only one single car incident, borderline unheard of.
Yeah, now the problem we're going to have is going to be what happens in this last stage. Now the waiting is over. Now the patience is over. Now the guaranteed caution to check up the field is over. Now it's all about what you can do behind that wheel, whatever wheel is mounted to your desk, your rig, whatever you're using, and that's all about you. So maybe drivers who were patient before, probably not going to continue to be as patient moving forward.
George Chiampoulos with the black flag down in the number 14 spot, number 14 car right now, and I'm not sure why. If it was speeding, that's the only thing I can think of, but I don't know how you would get speeding when you're under caution.
Well, you can still speed up pit run under caution. It's harder to do, you would think, but it's not impossible to be not paying attention.
Lapse of focus.
Get that, yeah. Well, so let's do this. I want to take a second, talk to a couple drivers under caution. I want to start with the driver who I think had probably, I hate to say luck, but maybe the luckiest move of the night. Bobby Blowers had a moment where he's able to luckily get off of the track after that engine blew. So, Bobby, I'll start with, what indication did you have? Did you just miss the blinking numbers? Did it surprise you when it blew up? What happened?
Honestly, I knew I was pushing the limits a little bit. I was just getting a little frustrated with the group we were in, and for the longest time we just didn't have a third car right up tight to us, and we just weren't making any progress, and then they tried going around us, and I was like, no, I ain't letting that happening. Then we finally did get a third car, but at that point down the middle back, it was already pegging 290. I was like, well, let's see where the limit is, because in practice it was about 295, 299 that it would go, and yeah, she went right at 291. So yeah, that sucks, but I have terrible luck here anyway, and I was probably not going to finish lead lap at least, but
so
yeah.
So do you think, luckily for you, or luckily for the field, they had kind of got too wide? Had there been people behind you, probably more likely that would have been a worse incident for everybody, right?
Yeah, as soon as I heard it go, I immediately tried turning down left and getting out of the way, getting her woed up.
Well, Obviously not the run you wanted today. I'm sorry to see the motor has gone. I guess you'll stick around and probably root on your teammates.
Oh yeah, I'll probably be the communication guy between our 2 voice channels that we're in.
Fair enough. Well, listen, it's a pleasure talking to you. Good luck the rest of the race, or good luck the rest of the season, pardon me.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you guys for broadcasting tonight.
You're very welcome. That's Bobby Blauer. Unfortunately, out of the race, will not finish here this evening. So interesting, Nolan, a lot of times you don't hear that from drivers when they're honest enough to say, hey, I just kept pushing, right? A lot of drivers kind of, you know, either don't recognize that number is blinking, or, you know, they think maybe it didn't, you know, it's not fair. You know, hey, I wasn't pushing the limit, but Bobby's honest, said, hey, I was pushing. I thought I could go further, and just, you know, I was wrong.
Hey, sometimes that's all it is, right? You play chicken, and sometimes you lose.
And sometimes you're the windshield, sometimes you're the bug.
Yeah, no shame in admitting it. Everybody's done. Again, this is one of those cases where if somebody on iRacing that's, you know, an avid super speedway racer, if somebody has never done that, they're lying through their teeth. Everyone has done that at some point or another.
Oh yeah.
Usually because you don't know what the threshold is at first.
I should say, and usually, or because you're just not paying attention to it, right? Bobby was different. He was paying attention, decided he could go further. A lot of drivers get caught up in by surprise. They're so busy watching in front of them, or watching maybe next to them in triples or VR, that they just missed that number. But he knew it, just wanted to push further. Well, Blaney Thompson is going to lead us around to the start of this stage, Nolan.
Stage number 3 kicking off. This one takes us straight to the conclusion of tonight's race. 46 laps on the docket. Green flag is back in the air. Good getaway from Thompson down low in that number 27 entry. Martin Roberg will help to shove him clear. Zachary Wareham and Wesley will remain side by side for 3rd and 4th as they drive it down the back straightaway, and about the biggest this pack has looked like all night long since the initial start.
Yeah, as I said under caution, you can't wait anymore. You can't lollygag, right? Because what if this goes green all the way and you do lollygag? Likelihood is you'll never catch back up. So everyone's got to be here, you got to be present, you got to be full throttle. In that moment, there's a couple cars fully up in the wall, but everyone's good for the moment, but that got scary.
Bailey, Thompson, Roberg, Wareham, Riddle, Lester, Capolupo, McCann, and more. Getting a little bit feisty with that outside fence. I mean, you can get a pretty good boost with a side draft if you can rip close up to the wall, but it is an extremely fine line and not one that many drivers find successfully.
No, not usually, but here's a car finding success up top. That's going to be Martin Roberg. Martin Roberg, he is up top. He's now going to make the pass here and now move back to the bottom. So there, remember I talked about notes earlier? Remember I said, hey, everyone keeps kind of a mental note in your head of who does what? Well, now if you're that car up top, now you're saying, hey, listen, that 60 car got up there, used me for the draft, and then went ahead and went right on around me and went back to the bottom and kind of left me hanging out to dry. So that is something I think maybe you stored in memory, right? Remember that old, oh boy, is it NASCAR 2005? With the Intimidate features, and you could make rivals, and you could make friends. It was NASCAR Thunder 05. It was 06 with that horrible chase for the team control thing. So
oh
05.
I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah. So, and that's what I think is happening in real life here is, you know, right there. It's possible that Roberg made not an enemy, not a rival, but maybe not a friend for the rest of the race. That car up top says, hey, he left me at the hang once. I will not be as you know, willing to stick with him later, knowing what will happen if I do it again. Well, the features, NASCAR 2003 was so peak. Everything was great. They kept adding ceiling features like total team control, and it just, yeah.
Well, and then you have NASCAR Racing 2003 season for the compilers, which is, of course, some of the base code that iRacing was initially based off of. And I mean, that's just gone down as universally one of the best NASCAR sims of all time, especially from the early 2000s.
In fact, there's still a community who runs it nowadays. It does a little bit of modding to it. It has got to run on modern PCs. And
you can find hand-built replicas of all 2025 NASCAR tracks right now on X2003. There are leagues that still run. It's a very active community, and one that no other game outside of iRacing really has.
No, there's a few, but yeah, you're right. I mean, it's such a beloved game that it's really out there. But you're right. Here we are, and I call it the sequel to that game, the NR203 iRacing. As we're watching this battle go on, watching this top lane move forward. That 11 car is pushing Wesley Whittle around up into 23. Riddle wants to get around, and again, now they're side by side. Now Riddle gets to make the decision. What does he do to the 11? Does he stay loyal? Does he move down? Does he bring the 11 with him? It looks like he will. He's not as eager to dump off the 11.
Of course, we wait to see how long it's going to take before we will see more cars in the pit road. Expected that to happen inside of 30 laps to go.
Oh, there's the 11. The 11 pulled the move on the 23.
Dominic Campolupo starting to get the elbows out a little bit more with the National Debt Relief number 11 Camry, trying to go after that cookout. Number 23 Wesley Riddle up top. Now looking for 3 wide behind as Casey Ellis going to the top.
Oh, wiggles. Oh boy, that car about 3 deep in the top started to wiggle. And I got concerned we were going to have the big one. You hinted at earlier, but everyone got it up. We're all good. There's one big bright green car up at the top there, but good otherwise. Now the top lane's moving. Now it's the 23. Now it's Scott McCann on behind him. Those two are pushing hard. I'm half expecting them to move down together, almost counted out together and make the move. Oh, they're offset. And they're kind of right in middle. They're indecisive. This could go bad. You got to, again, make those snap decisions. Had they stayed in the middle of the track, Nolan, both lanes would have consumed them.
So Riddle, McCann, Kilroe, Campolupo, Roberg, all under a blanket for the top 5. Really, I mean, I hesitate to call it a blanket, but you could throw it over really the top 15, right? I mean, what would you call that at that point? Oh, hold on. 22 car into the infield. So that's Sam Dooley who's actually brought it out.
Luckily for everyone involved, that car went ahead and just got off the service instantly. Watch the moment right here. It's going to happen towards the back of your screen. And we'll come down the back straight here.
Car just drifts down. I think he, again, has had a hardware failure.
Yeah, or he backed out or something. Yeah, I thought maybe at first he would kind of snap the camera there. I was expecting maybe like, you know, a bump put him down there and he was scared of wrecking back up. But you're right, he was kind of meandered down there and disconnected. So hopefully everything's okay there. But out of the race, one more car is. Now there's just a couple cars left up top. It's one big line across the bottom here. So this shows you, Nolan, how comfortable everyone is. Something you and I talked about pre-race. Watch at these RPMs here. 83, 84. That's pretty good, actually. You and I were talking about when people start fuel saving in this car, would they, you know, what would they do? And you see at the bottom mark right there, I mean, for fifth gear, you see a little bit of lifting. That's not fuel saving, I don't think. I think that's just checkups in the field, which are two separate things. I don't think we're fuel saving as hard as I thought we would be.
We are about halfway through the stint, so I guess drivers are trying to see if they can't make this work. This is going to be a 2-stop race from here. You could get another pit stop in. I mean, you'll need to pit again with less than 10 to go if you run that tank out dry. But barring any further cautions, this is still very much a 2-stopper from here to the end.
And boy, don't we talk all the time about how important pit stops are, especially under green flag conditions. How you get on pit road, how you get off pit road, how well you hit your box and you don't slide it. All those things matter. You know, a race like this where drafting partners matter, if you're even a tick off of your pit stall, you could lose your drafting partner, lose your drafting pack, and sort of be a man without a country here. So hopefully everyone's practiced that. They're all ready if in fact they do happen under green flag conditions.
Wesley Riddle continuing to make tracks over the race lead as we've gotten pretty much single file out. And this is, honestly, this is really the first time tonight that we've seen this whole big pack be single filed out like this. We saw them starting to get to that point towards the end of the second stage there, but it was pretty much still double filed and drivers took turns coming into pit road. But this is the first time that everyone is really fully single filed out as Mark Lebren's going to take the fast lap of the race with a 45.963. But
and I said earlier that I thought there wasn't any big lifts going on in fuel saving, but I guarantee you, look back in this pack here, probably think about maybe like a Zachary Wareham back in 7th. He is naturally fuel saving, right? He is naturally fuel saving because he does not have to work as hard to get that car pulled around this track. Those 6 cars ahead are cutting a massive hole in the air. And so those cars back deep in this first pack are probably going to maybe get maybe an extra lap over the cars up front. Remember, the car not saving fuel at all is Wesley Riddle, that 23. He has no one helping him, so he is definitely burning the most fuel. So again, what we're talking about here is how short is your last pit stop. No one's going to cut off a pit stop, Nolan. No one's going to maybe eliminate a pit stop or have any big drastic changes. But if you that 1 or 2 laps of fuel you need to make it to the end could make the difference of the last run.
And you saw now Justin Johnson getting a 45.7 in to retake the fast lap of the race. So that fastest lap has been continuing to drop throughout the course of the afternoon as this track gains a bit more speed. It has cooled significantly. It's down to just 101 degrees Fahrenheit from the 117 it was at the start. So this track loses some temperature in it, and that is causing it to pick up just a little bit in speed.
Just 101, he said. Only 101. I mean, you're right, though. It is down 16 degrees.
Like,
I agree. I know. It's just funny to say only 101, right? It's just, but you're right. I mean, that is going to cause the track to get faster. It's going to cause this track to grip up a little bit, so those lane changes will get easier to make in fast movements because it's not as slick. But boy, look at this right here. Look at those top 3 cars all tucked in right there together as Scott McCann's all over the back end of Wesley Riddle.
Some drivers actually started to break away. We haven't really talked about this much today, right? There's actually quite a bit of a gap that we see starting to form here among some of the front runners here. I mean, look back here at about Wesley Triplett. Now almost half a second back from Lester. Lester himself is back almost half a second from Zachary Wareham. So just kind of naturally, we're seeing a big separation starting to form in the leading group.
Yeah, some of that separation is how hard it is to be the last car in the draft pack. We hinted at earlier. Some of the separations because drivers may be lifting to see, listen, if the estimate says I have, 5.9, laps of gas left, can I maybe just start lifting and make it 6, for example? But boy, that pack caught up quick, and I got concerned for that black and blue car up front. I thought for sure he was maybe going to get run over. They mostly checked up. One car had to shoot to the top here, but we're all okay. So this gap right here, this is probably more of a manufactured, predictable gap right now. These guys trying to lay back, save some fuel, and see what they can make happen here. 32 to go. We last pitted on lap 53. That was during that stage break at work lap number 69 into lap 70. It means we're probably about, I would say, 3 to 4 laps from pitting again.
Estimated time for these guys coming down pit road, I'm thinking around 28 to go. So we'll be seeing some of them making their way on in. 2 drivers making their way back out onto the racetrack, by the way, here. Terry Sanders has reemerged on the racetrack, and as well as that, so has Joey Gevedon. Gevedon down by 3 laps right now in the number 42 entry after he had quite a bit of damage following the collision earlier in the race. Terry Sanders down 11 laps as he tries to also gather up some speed, and these guys just looking to try to pick up some extra points. They're both looking to pass Sam Dooley.
And hey, by the way, speaking of a kind of a developing story here, if we take the cameras and focus back on P8 on back, there's been a little bit of conversation in the driver's chat. Hey, do we have some damaged cars in the pack? Why are we not moving? So as much as I thought maybe that this race was being a little bit predictable in the fuel saving, these guys are having a hard time. Maybe they had someone up front who couldn't take the bump, couldn't take the push, or someone who was bad at pushing in draft, and so now they're trying to kind of rearrange it because there were some drivers unhappy in that group with the pace of that second pack.
Well, the pace is picked up. They shuffled Aaron Lester out. Aaron Lester was leading the way with the Napa Auto Parts number 86. Now Triplett is back to the point, and all of a sudden, their speed has come back tenfold, and they're now closing the gap back down. I think that was an accurate theory. I like the discussions on that, right? It's like drivers theorizing and trying to work together, right? Because then these guys realize, look, we're all losing out here by just kind of running as is. We got to change something, because if we wait too much longer, we're past the point of no return.
Well, there's a couple of telltale signs that happen when you think you're behind someone who has a bit of damage, right? If you're Triplet, if you're Wygent, if you're Sartaj, man, you all of a sudden find yourself checking the up point. You find yourself having to work to not hit the car in front of you. You find you can't get on the throttle, and you're frustrated. You're wondering why? Well, it's because that car up front maybe has some damage, or hey, listen, not everyone's a great pusher, and not everyone's great at being pushed, right? I myself, when I've won a couple of Daytona 500s, I prefer to push someone to the very end and then make a move. I don't like being pushed. I get self-conscious about it. I get worried about what happens behind me. I think I'm a better pusher, but there are drivers who love to be pushed around this track. Look at Wesley Trippett and how calm that car is, pardon me. You can tell he loves being pushed around this racetrack.
So you see Wesley Triplett's laps there, and Zachary Wareham's as well. Wareham was faster in laps 69 and 70. All of a sudden, when they made the switch, all of a sudden, look at that, they lost a 10th. And now, actually, the leaders all coming down into the pit road. Oh, one comes the road. That's the race leader. Triplet, in fact, losing out. Not Triplet, sorry. The 23 of Wesley
23.
Riddle losing out, and that's...
Oh, missed a stall. He's going to...
Shockingly, that's not a black flag.
That's a good point, actually. That's not a black flag. I'm confused by that as well, but also missed his stall as well. And Triplet, by the way, boy, oh boy, watch this again. Let's watch what happens in the entry here. Now, they started calling off pitting right about here. I could hear them in the driver's radios. Everyone knew the plan. And if you just get too fast in, has to get on the brakes. Pass the line.
I don't understand it. That absolutely should have been a penalty.
Yeah, I'm a little confused as well, but his penalty alone is missing that pit box. That's going to cost him all the time he needs to move back in this field. So, but you're right. I mean, the point's not lost. Here's your next set of pitters right there. There's the 13 car. That's pretty well in the box, maybe a little further back than he probably wants to be. But hey, it counts, and that's the important part there. There's that Napa car.
One thing I want to clarify on that incident with Riddle, by the way, we are not suggesting anything about race control deleting penalties, right? I mean, this is a case of the penalty was never assessed in the first place, and that's an iRacing control penalty. iRacing never assessed it. Race control's done nothing wrong here.
Yep, I agree with that. I'm surprised typically when you touch the grass. The only thing I can think of is he touched the grass after the cone, but it still shouldn't matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, he lucked out, as if you should go buy a lottery ticket if you're the 23 car, because you hit the jackpot there. Because I mean, yes, you missed your stall and it's going to suck a little bit, but it could have been way worse. Watch this here. This will be from behind the 23. Gets past the cone.
Ooh boy!
Oh, it almost had contact. That was even worse. Scott McCann had a very scary moment.
It's not often we see in our end of the month best avoidances of the month a pit road incident, but hey, first time for everything.
Yeah, that's definitely a candidate. Here we are, only what, 6 days into the month, and I think that's already probably being written down on the list to keep up with, right? Yeah, 100%. I was something to keep up with here. Well, Sartaj, man, is now leading this race around, as is Justin Johnson, Dalton Kilroe, Martin Roberg, your top four, Capolupo in the top five. And all these drivers have now pit, as far as I can tell, up and down the board. This round of pit stops is over. So one more pit stop to plan. Now, here's the thing as a driver you're thinking about. You're trying to plan off when the pit stop is. You're trying to wonder if that big one's going to happen. You're trying to make sure you're not part of the big one. You're trying to figure out where you want to be right now, because that last pit stop is 100% a splash and go. There will be no tires. There'll be just enough fuel in the car, if you can help it, to get you to the end of the race.
So, on the subject of the big one, right, the fact that, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, I think we're going to need some steps if we do get a big one this afternoon, right? It's not going to just happen out of the blue. The field, I think, is too fractured at this point. I think if we do get one, it's going to be because we got another 1 or 2 car incident in the late stages of this race, which is going to cause a last-minute scramble in the back 15 or so.
Yeah, I mean, it could, but right now what's going to happen is we're going to see some lap cars come around eventually here that Kilroe, Roberg, and others are going to catch, and that could also be the moment when it gets a little scary here and what happens. Right now, you call him a super speedway expert, Dalton Kilroe. We've seen him multiple times on this channel through High Tide Racing League, through Blazing Puddles, the Cyber 500 back a few months ago. Dalton loves leading at super speedways. Dalton doesn't love super speedways. Come think of it. I don't think you had to put the leading part in there. So he's here. Said he was here to help a teammate win tonight. Well, right now he is the leading teammate winning the race.
What do you think? I mean, the last time he was really out at Daytona was in the High Tide Racing League, and he popped the motor really early in that race. So what do we think? Do you think he might try to play spoiler here?
Well, the best way not to pop a motor is to lead, right? Because that car's getting plenty of air up front. You won't pop a motor up there unless you do something really silly. So,
okay. In all fairness, he was leading the last time as well, but he had picked up damage from a pit road collision pre-race.
Yeah.
In all fairness to him.
Pretty wild moment. Yeah, I compare, comparison to Blowers earlier, who popped the motor, in the draft tonight. But boy, Kilroy's getting a massive push from Roberg here, and that bright, colorful car, the black base with the colorful rainbow-style paints across it. And then Sartaj man back there, Justin Johnson, who you see the stopwatch indicator, means he has the fastest lap of the night so far. And we'll see. I suspect that's safe, honestly, because you're going to wear these tires off. I don't think you're taking tires next time. So I suspect whoever has the fastest lap now, short of a caution coming out, knock on wood, I bet that fastest lap is safe.
Could very well be. And we'll see how this race is going to continue to pick up and work out throughout the duration of this race. For now, everybody pretty much in lockstep here this afternoon, so we will look to right on board for a few laps. We'll let you take in the sights and sounds of the Daytona International Speedway. Well, pit stop's underway as Tristan Bear makes his way into pit road, and Pacey Wygen and John Matthews already in just up the road as well. So final pit stops kicking off this afternoon, Derek, and this is right about at the mark where you're able to go the distance from here.
Yeah, that's a scary though, right? Because I only saw 2 cars there, so more than likely this pack of probably what's got to be 10 plus cars will run down that pack of 2 and could end up putting them a lap down. Then if that caution comes out, what happens, right? What do you do? You know, is all those questions. So I respect it because it's different and it's off cycle. And hey, that's the kind of moves that sometimes wins a race, but there's a lot of fear involved. You need that whole cycle to complete before you can feel safe if you're those cars we just saw on screen pitting. There up front, not much has changed. So we went ahead and got trackside, listened to the sights and sounds. It's Kilrow, it's Roberg, it's Sartaj, man, your top 3. That's not moved a single bit. In fact, I'll be honest with you, we're getting pretty close to there just being a Martin Roberg like signature on the back end of Dalton Kilrow's car with how much those do a bump draft. Like those cars are just about ready to, remember I talked about Lego sets earlier? Those cars are just about ready to merge into one and make one big Lego block.
Now the question is, what kind of Lego blocks are we talking about here? We're talking like a 3x2 or 4x2?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, they would prefer this to be a 1x2, just one big block, one wide, 2 deep, is what they're hoping for. Yeah, it's like, are you talking like Lego Technic? Oh,
whoa, hello. Peyton Snyder with a black flag on entry, and well, we cut to that.
Like he just found a roundabout on pit road right there. What happened? But let's watch this again.
I don't know if authorities take too kind of you taking roundabouts like that. I don't know where you live though, but
I mean, so hey, some cities in America don't have that many roundabouts. Maybe he got lost.
Whoa! Holy cow!
Crap! He just lost it coming into pit road. Got it sideways again, and never would have got it under control.
He was full throttle as well. What in the world? Oh, he probably got a bad bump from behind. Look at the 88 car right behind him. That'll do it.
You know what? To be fair, I don't even know if that's a bad bump, Nolan, because that 48 car was up pretty high, and I don't know if it's a bad bump or if he just wanted to come back down, and maybe it's a bit of both, right? That's almost the definition of racing incident if you could have one right there with kind of 2 different things meeting together. That explains how what happened to the 48. That's going to be a penalty, I have to assume, for the 48. I mean, that's got to be speeding on pit road.
Oh, yeah.
And some other issues. So that's a massive hit to the 48. But look at this, a change up front. That's Roberg in that black car with the rainbow stripes. He's now pushing someone else around. That's now a new car he is trying to push. That's a lapped car as well, I believe.
It sure is. That is Pacey Wygen right now running in 15th. Last car in the lead lap. That Martin Roberg is going to lead the way, and Dalton Kilrow could not get in the line, and he is paying the price for trying to get too greedy.
I wonder if Kilrow's falling back on purpose. Remember, Kilrow said he was here to help a couple teammates. Well, you and I kind of joked a few laps ago, you can't help a teammate if you're winning. So let's see if Kilrow finds those teammates. Let's see if he maybe finds himself a Wareham or others and begins to form that line again. It'll take a little bit, because there's Wareham on the track right there. Kilrow's a little bit further back. So let's see if that does happen. In this moment, Wareham's currently being pushed by the 11. Remember, now 13 to go. Pit stops are live. The cycle is open. You have to think a few drivers could go a little bit further before they're out of gas. But right now, everyone's pushing as hard as they can.
Looking for 12 laps to go this time by, and about 15 before the drivers that came in first in this leading pack will have to make that commitment down to pit road. So this field continuing to cycle through. There you see Blaine Schneider, Scott McCann just leaving pit road. All the while, 2 more cars linked up high. That is Dominic Capalupo along with the 23.
The 23 we saw earlier had that wild pit stop and had the sliding in the box, and we thought maybe avoided a penalty, where here he comes back to the front trying to make something happen.
Potentially a problem here exiting pit road for Joey Gevedon. That number 24 entry went off track in turn 2, and he caught the transition, and that'll do it.
Almost caught the double yellow out. Oh, wow, went off-roading. That's like Pro 2, Pro 4, Lucas Oil Truck and I Racing caught that kind of bump right there, but Starts that you almost caught the double yellow line, which would have been a penalty, but now here comes a lot of other drivers. This is a lot of people right here. This is Lindy Frazier, this is Sartaj Mann, Justin Johnson, Dalton Kilrose, Zachary Wareham, Martin Roberg. I think the only cars left to pit now is the front two, Bailey Thompson and Dominic Capilupo. I suspect we'll probably see them next time or 2 laps in, but here's the battle off the pit road. This may indeed, Nolan, be the battle for the race when all is said and done.
Top 2 stayed out. Bailey Thompson and Dominic Capilupo running right behind the number 23 car, who is a lap car after the latest stint. Whoa, look out! Hang on! The 00 all over the place, trying to get back out to the racetrack. Big problems are Pacey Wygen, and something big just happened coming off of turn number 4.
Something really big just happened off before. You're right, because that seemed wild and crazy and out of nowhere. It was very sudden, very instant was that move. And, whew, watch this again. Oh, boy. Just lost it, and then over the front of the, how did the 23, man, that 23, the pit road is not his friend. Watch it again. Here comes Wygen. Maybe gets a back bump from the 98, but he was already kind of wild and loose before the there. And I think the 23 this time may have caught the penalty, because I saw him touch the grass that time. If he doesn't get it this time, I have no idea.
That was Wesley Riddle. Oh my word.
There's the grass again. That's gotta be.
And then this is on board current race leader Bailey Thompson. What he saw. Unbelievable with that shoot to the inside. That is like picking a lane, and I tell you what, he picked that lane and he knew he had to commit to it or it was not going to go well for him.
Yeah, definitely did. I think you see the 23 still parked there, by the way. That's Wesley Riddle, so definitely serving a black flag for that pit road. You get away with touching the grass maybe after the cone. Maybe you got away with, you're not going to get away with touching the grass before the cone. And I'm sure for Wesley Riddle, you're upset because you're thinking you touched it because you had to save that car from the moving object, if you will. But unfortunately, that's not in an automated black flag system. It doesn't care. Sadly, it's going to apply the penalty. Here we go. Now 9 to go. Everyone is pitted. This is the race for the win. Whatever happens here happens, unless there's that pesky yellow flag we've really not seen all night long, minus the stages and one other time. There's no more pit stops. There's no more strategy on pit road. Now it's what can you make happen? The drivers are getting impatient, Nolan. Now, lap by lap, tick-tock, 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 time is running out.
If we actually go to the end of this race and we only have an actual full-on one-car, like actual crash and caution, I will be happy to declare this the cleanest Daytona race that I have ever called in my iRacing broadcasting career.
You're doing that, aren't you? You're doing that, aren't you? You're gonna make this happen. You said it right there. Look at this. Down the bottom, by the way, 2 cars have moved to the bottom. That is Sartaj Mann, and he is pushing around a lapped car in the 77. He is,
I think. Hard to tell.
Yeah. No, man scored as the leader in timing and scoring. That's got to be a lap car ahead of him, unless I'm missing.
So it is. So it's got 11 on the car. That is actually the 53 of Mark Frimpong is what is being scored as.
Fair enough. We got to work on numbers here, guys. But look at that. So now the question is, how comfortable is Sartaj? That must be a teammate he's pushing around, pardon me. But here comes a move up top. Here comes a 13. Here comes more drivers. There's Martin Roberg up top. So Lily Frazier, remember that driver who said they wanted to fall back in stage 2? They would find their way to the front in stage 3. Remember that conversation about, what, 40 minutes ago? Well, here we go. Back to the front, Lily Frazier.
Lily Frazier trying to make something happen here. Martin Roberg up there as well on the top side of the racetrack. And I believe you've got Elena Pelletier-Sharp up in the mix there as well. So the top 3 going to drive around the outside of Frimborg as well as Mann. And then you got, luckily that's about it. So you got the top 3 here that are all starting to pull away. And Sharp, in fact, is Sharp potentially trying to back up Sartaj Mann here, or maybe set up a run for herself?
Yes, and the reason I think you're doing it right now, that what you're seeing on your screen, that's what the drivers are experiencing, by the way, with the leader, Lily Frazier. And every time that car blinks, it is messing with everything. It's messing with the drafting line. It's messing with the confidence of Martin Roberg. It's messing with the odds of everyone being scared about, if we make contact or how we make contact. So now you start to back up the run. Now you're going to start to see probably, I suspect even that 47 car, that bright purple machine right in front of Sartaj, man, that's where I think the run is going to come. I think that lap car is going to move with Sartaj, and they're going to try to affect this race. If I bet, oh boy, well, what, 5 to go now? I would make my move with 3 to go. In these cars, you cannot wait until the last lap. I know we think a classic NASCAR from the 2000s, maybe the 90s or even 2010s, if you wait till a lap to go, you can't do that. You've got to time it right. If I'm Sartaj, man, I am planning this move at 3 to go.
Well, I think, okay, so there is actually a big possibility where it does work, but you need to have everyone go with you, and it's got to be out of the final corner. Otherwise, yeah, you're just going to stall out instantaneously.
Yeah, and if you're Sartaj and you're committed to that lap car so far, that means you're working with them, right? You're not trying to get around them. You're not frustrated. I don't hear any frustration in the driver's radios on the iRacing service about this lap car being away. There's got to be a thing that's happening right now. But look at that gap. The one I find interesting the most is between Man and Sharp. Sartaj, if he was worried about the lap car, would try to get up under there and get to the back end to Sharp. That's not happening. So, boy, here we go. 4 to go. This right now, this is the battle for the lead. There's some cars in the back, but unless something happens to this front pack, that second pack has no odds of catching up.
Running full tilt right now. The second pack holding Zachary Wareham, Kilbro, and Bailey Thompson. Right now, they, all 3 GGA Esports teammates, are just fighting it out for the final spot inside the top 5. 3 laps to go this time. Frazier continued to pull clear. There's the move up top for Sharp.
Oh, Sartaj, man. Oh, boy. They hung out to dry.
That's was a dirty move.
When I say dirty, I don't mean dirty, bad, dirty. Like, that was, wow, that was incredible. And I'm sure the Sharp is upset. But, boy, you did Sharp dirty right there. I would not expect Sharp to help push me around the rest of the race if at all possible. But, boy, oh, boy, here they come again. Here's that lap car. Here is Sartaj, man. Now, they've got to make it, oh.
Clever. So that's the lap car getting out of the way and making sure that Man does not lose momentum.
No, that was Man tricking the lapped car, I think, and then moving up and thinking he was going to move with him. And then it could be, you're right. I think that was more, you saw Man kind of get up there and hint at it and then fall back down. Man's trying to get up to the front by simply just kind of pulling the fake, pulling the juke, and getting up there. But boy, with this leader blinking, I do not want to be behind him. I want to get up top. Because I'm telling you right now, the next time the leader blinks, if I'm up top, that run up top will work. That draft will break. Here's some lap cars in the front. These will provide a draft. Make the move, guys. You're 2 to go. You cannot wait much longer.
Time is running out. A lap and a half to go as the field works their way to turn numbers 3 and 4. The draft of the lap cars just up the road will play a factor. And our racing action pans out here this afternoon. 1 lap to go. Frazier trying to hang on for a win.
Here comes his lap cars. That draft is real. Now, the problem is Frazier is going to get a hold of that as long as Frazier stays connected to the service. And now there's a move up top. Now there's a red car moving up. Now Frazier moves up. And now these guys who wanted to wait, now they're stuck. His Man gave an awful bump to Roberg because there's nowhere to go on the bottom. Now they're racing basically lap cars for the win.
Oh my goodness. So the field is on right now as Roberg trying to make moves. Oh, 3 wide in the background. That's not going to work. Frazier able to pull clear the side draft. 2 powerful, 1 car put into the fence there. Now a cut to the inside. Roberg back to the point. Lily Frazier cutting in there as well, trying to get the drive back down the front straightaway. Those lap cars not looking to move, and Martin Roberg off the final corner, pulls to the outside. Here comes Frazier to the stripe. Did she get him? I don't know if she did. She did by 2 thousandths of a second. One of the closest finishes all year on Green Flag TV.
Wow, that's incredible. I had no way I thought really Frazier had to run left. I thought for sure with the lap cars in the way that race was done. But congrats to Lily Frazier. Proved me wrong and proved to be the winner of this race.
Take a look at this one coming down. Roberg had an unbelievable run. I thought it was over.
Yeah, me too. I thought this was it right now.
I'm sure he thought it was over.
Yeah, he's going to get behind that Ghost Energy car.
And Frazier got the draft.
Got a bit of a draft, got up here, maybe even pulled a bit of a side draft to pull Roberg back. And look at the line right about there. Wow.
Oh boy. Tell you what, does not get much closer than that, does it?
No, that's... You and I keep coming up with the past weather stuff, these close finishes on our own. We've seen them time and time again in the service and time again on Green Flag TV. But that might be my new record for closest finish in a broadcast.
Unbelievable. By about a bumper's length. You can barely even tell there. I mean, that is unreal how close that is.
That is crazy. That is, and I'm sounding down. It's sad. I'm not sad. I'm almost lost for words. You see now the burnout from the podium drivers, from Fraser, from Warburg, from Sharp, all celebrating, and both of them should celebrate. This is the top two, if not all three. An amazing finish. Heartbreaking to be on Roberg's side of it, but still a great run.
That is right now tied for the third closest finish of the season. Second closest finish if you don't count the sprint race from the Beer League where it was a trip zip earlier this year. The only other finish that has been closer than this one was the very first race of the year for the SRA Truck Series at Talladega way back in January, and the only other one that is in contention would be the OMSRL Cup Series with their last race here at Talladega. I mean, unbelievable ride. And again, I mean, that is unreal. Congratulations.
Yeah, I have no idea how you pull that off. That's, I'm in awe. I'm a fan, right? I just became a fanboy of Lily Frazier for making that move. That's nothing but
it ain't over till it's over. That is why you don't celebrate. I feel like Robert pulled out a line to celebrate the win. I think he thought it was over, and well, boy, did Frazier prove him wrong.
Ooh, wow, boy, oh boy. Well, I'm excited to talk to the podium drivers. I'm excited to get that part of the show going. But I think first we need to probably go ahead and look at the unofficial results, see where everybody finished, and celebrate Lily Frazier.
Yes, we absolutely do. It was a wild race home this afternoon, and taking home the race win this afternoon, it is going to be none other than Lily Frazier by 2/1000 of a second ahead of Martin Roberg. Elena Pelletier-Sharp comes home third. We'll talk to all of those three drivers in just a moment. Sartaj Mann, tried as he may, he'll come home fourth. Zachary Wareham will pick up a top five with Dalton Kilroy pushing him to that fifth place run. Bailey Thompson down in seventh, Justin Johnson in eighth, and it's Dominic Capilupo in ninth, and John Matthews closes out the top 10.
Then we're back to P11. He's driving about 30 seconds back. Unfortunately, well off the pack. Pacey Wygant is in 11th. Blaine Snyder's in 12th. Scott McCann, 13. Tristan Bear, we saw how that issue on pit road earlier, is P14. Carson Lucas is P15. Casey Ellis, Mark Frimpong. Those are the two cars you saw right there with the leaders at the end. And then Doug Ross Jr., Mark LeBurns, and Aaron Lester round out your top 20.
Then it's 21st place. It's going to be Peyton Snyder. 2 laps down was Wesley Triplett alongside Wesley Riddle. 3 down was Joey Givadon. 4 down was George Giampoulos. Terry Sanders was 11 down, and then failing to finish this race was Sam Dooley, Bobby Blowers, Chris Giampoulos, and Rodney Ayers, who was 67 laps off of the leaders. So we're going to take a rundown now and get a chit chat in here with these drivers that close out the top the top three this afternoon, and we'll look to kick it off first and foremost with none other than Lily Frazier, the driver of the number 13. We talked to her once at the end of stage number 1. We'll talk to them again this afternoon, and Lily, holy cow, 0.02 of a second, snags of the win. I think Roberg was celebrated a little bit there, and boy, showing him up. Talk us through that final lap.
Yeah, final lap there. I mean, Roberg and Sharp are my teammates, so, you know, we're doing our best to make sure 49 didn't get ahead. We can get a 1, 2, 3. And we kind of got checked up there, lapping those cars. And then Elena gave a big shove to Martin. He ducked to the inside, but when he pulled up, I saw the opportunity, just was able to get just enough side draft to slow him down, just beat him barely to the line.
I mean, an unreal drive this afternoon. Of course, it's not oftentimes that lapped cars play a big factor in how a super speedway win plays out like this. It kind of became evident with about 3 to go that was going to be a factor. Do you reckon that helped you to secure this win, or do you think you could have gotten the job done even without them?
I don't think I necessarily would have gotten it because Martin definitely would have made a move, and at that point I would have had the only reason I was able to keep in control is the draft off the lap cars. So I think without it, Martin would have just gotten by me. Probably he would have finished first, probably me second, Elena third, without them there.
And while we might not be able to get the chance to talk to you much throughout the course of the season, as we're just here for this opening week, but kind of talk us through your goals of the season, and if we can expect to see that 13 car back up into the lead before too long.
I mean, I hope we can see it back up in the lead. This is my strongest stock car, so, hope to run well. But my main goal is just consistency, finish in the top 10 as many races as possible, and just be a threat at the end for the championship when it matters, And just do my best, keep it clean, don't upset anyone, keep as many friends as I got.
All right, well, we wish you the best of luck when we go racing once again. Congratulations on taking the first win of the season, and we'll see you again next week when we go racing in Atlanta.
Thank you very much.
Lily Frazier comes home number 1 this afternoon. That brings up Martin Roberg. The driver that finishes number 2 is standing by with Derek Watson.
I'll catch up with Martin Roberg. Martin, you are going to make history on Green Flag TV for being part of one of the closest finishes we've had all year. Maybe not the way you want to be part of that history, but boy, that last lap with the lap cars away, was that fun? Was it frustrating? Was it terrifying? A little bit of all three. What words would you pick out?
Yeah, I'd say a bit of all three. I mean, it was my judgment call at the end of the day to make a move on the 35. I think if I stayed behind, I would have won, but yeah, I mean, with the lap cars certainly threw in a weird element to it. Like we were catching them at a weird spot. I thought I was out of it down the backstretch. So I mean, it's part of it. Like there was definitely some moves that could have been changed by the lap cars, but I mean, it's racing. Like it's really cool to be part of a close finish like that, even if I didn't quite get the win. It's a 1, 2, 3 for our team, which we have. I don't think we've even put all three cars in the top 5 before, so really cool night. Very happy for Lily. Hopefully I'll be back in the interviews again next week with one spot better, but I mean, it's Daytona. You always so much is in your control, so I'm very happy with a P2.
So talk to me a little bit. I'm curious about the dynamic of your Discord chat, right? You come out of turn 4, you're 1, 2, 3 in some order. That moment is tense. Is everybody talking? Is everybody yelling? Is everybody screaming? Is everybody kind of quiet as a mouse? What's that Discord room like when you guys realize you're probably going to be 1, 2, 3, you just don't know in what order?
So I actually got congratulated at turn 4. We thought I was going to get it, and then I make that move, and then we all realize at the same time, wait, there's a shot at the win. So yeah, not the best moment for me in the Discord, but I mean it's really cool. Like we all work together really well. We want each other to succeed. So we were like the entire last run we were talking about get the team a 1, 2, 3. Like do whatever you can. Just secure the solid finish. Go for the win, obviously, but do the best you can for the team. So just like it's a very interesting dynamic to have all three of the podium finishers in the same Discord, for sure.
I'm sure it is. Well, I'm going to end tonight by asking you to talk a little bit about your car. Right? I see a couple unique sponsors on the side of the car. Maybe give you a chance to talk about your main sponsor, what it means to you, why it's important to you, and kind of just give you the floor for a second.
Yeah, of course. So I got diagnosed with autism and ADHD a few months ago. So I've decided that I want to run paint schemes that kind of of organizations that bring awareness to neurodiversity. I also have like Race Stop Suicide, the Trevor Project, like organizations that reach out to people, because everyone watching, they've got their own story. I don't know where they are with it. I'm in a very different place than I was a few years ago with mine, and my hope is that seeing cars like this out on track, it gets people comfortable with where they are in life, especially people who are suspecting they might be on the spectrum and haven't been diagnosed, like I had been for a while. Like just kind of trying to bring awareness, bring compassion, and just as well, if across the entire season it reaches one person, that's more than enough for me.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Congrats on the P2, and good luck the rest of the season.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Have a good night.
And you're very welcome. That's Martin Rober. Finishes P2. Now let's go ahead and catch up with the driver who finished P3, Elena Pelletier Sharp. Well, you came in P3. Obviously, we heard a little bit about the Discord where you guys were kind of congratulating Martin a little early. But what was your moment like out of turn 4 to the finish line?
I have reasons why I wanted Lily to win, because Lily's helped me win at a super speedway before. But also, whoever won, it was still going to be a team 1-2-3 at the end of the day. The bottleneck with the lap cars gave us enough of a margin to where the 49 didn't matter. So it was just about making sure we kept team 1-2-3 in the end.
All right, well, a top 3 at Daytona, of course, very unique schedule, and then we're going to start and end the regular season at Daytona. So when you can get a top 3 to start the season, does that make you hopeful for maybe bookending the regular season? That make you feel more hopeful for what happens the rest of the season?
Yeah, obviously there's tracks coming up on the schedule that I know I'm good at and may have a shot in. So especially if we can secure a win for Martin, then if we need to do what we need to do here again at Daytona, then yeah, it definitely makes me feel hopeful if I am on the route and moving that way and to get in.
Fair enough. Well, listen, it was a pleasure watching you race tonight in that black and red machine. Congrats on the P3. Congrats on your team for the 1-2-3. And good luck the rest of the season.
Nothing good.
All right. Well, Nolan, that's going to wrap up our podium interviews for the evening. A team celebration, a driver who's happy, a couple personal stories shared, and overall, a pretty amazing night of super speedway racing.
I'd say so. Again, only one real caution flag outside of the stages, and it was for a single car incident. I'm happy to say it. That was one of the, if not the cleanest Daytona race I have ever seen in the 7-8 years now that I've been calling races on iRacing. I mean, it's always pleasantly surprised to see something like that from a new league, right? And I mean, I'm almost sad that we don't get to be here for the rest of the championship.
Yeah, and these guys get the honor of saying they proved Nolan Rimple wrong. Nolan earlier said, it says something about it wasn't if, it was when the big one happened. Well, it turned out it was about if, because it never came to be. Lots of names up front all night long, lots of lead changes, lots of exciting action. And hey, as I said in that last interview, remember, this regular season starts and ends at Daytona. So this league is not done here. They're going to have more fun not too far from now.
Plenty of action left to come, and you can check out all of the action here on, not on Green Flag TV, sorry, on the Bolt Racing League's YouTube channel. They will do all of their production in-house. We are filling in for this one day. So if you want to check out the rest of the series, well, be more than happy to check them out from there as well. Well, coming on up here on Green Flag TV, it is going to be the likes of the SRNS Classic Series taking a run down to the Kansas Speedway tomorrow night with the Israel Xfinity Series out at Homestead Miami Speedway on Sunday. The High Tide Racing League Garden Premier Series is out at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course on Monday night alongside the Beer League with the WeatherTech Raceway. And then, of course, AGSRL returns for more on Thursday for the Epic Trading Floor 180 at the Auto Club Speedway. In the meantime, if you want to find out more about who we are and what we can offer you, check us out today at www.greenflagtv.com. My name has always been Nolan Rempel. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time when we go racing on Green Flag TV.